and C. Subscribe on YouTube.
Hey everybody! Welcome to another episode of Trenny and C. I'm Trenny, this is C. We have a super duper extra special video for you guys tonight.
Yeah, so
Today?
our friend James from Sons of Vancouver Distillery, who make the cigarettes on a leather jacket, he sent us these bottles. He is a fan of comparison videos.
Yep.
And he's seen some of our work with some of the older mini bottles and
We've done the
19
Crown Royal like 60s kind of version versus the
and we did
probably
the cabin still and
a couple of different random ones that weren't very good.
Yeah, and but we've opened a bunch of really old Canadian whiskey as well. We had the old Curling Stone and the Captain's Table and some other things. So James was kind enough, he actually donated 2 bottles to us because he was curious to see the comparison.
And we were pretty surprised because when we opened this box from the same,
from Sons of Vancouver.
Sons of Vancouver, all that kind of thing.
We thought there was going to be more of this in there.
Oh, there's going to be a little bit more happening. But what he said to us, and it was a big surprise, was this was DEWAR'S 12-year-old, just the classic that you can get on the shelves nowadays.
And then DEWAR'S 12-year-old from God knows when. His research, he said he thought it was 1978, but
we're kind of
thinking it's a little older than that.
Could be in the 60s. We're not 100% sure.
Could be in the 60s, but this is DEWAR'S. It's got the big 12 on it. DEWAR'S 12-year-old, uncracked. Look at that. I mean,
so
this is a bottle of whiskey that has been sitting around for what has to be at least 40 years.
Yeah, the very least, very minimum, it's been around for 40 years, sitting in someone's shelf.
This could be
whatever.
A 50-year-old bottle of scotch.
Full bottle, fully
uncracked.
Uncracked. There's nothing, no tampering going on with this thing.
There's no, that we can see, there's no floaties in it. No tampering. The seal is still good right here. It's uncracked. It tells you, turn. Okay. Turn it. But we're going to open these up and we're going to compare them. If you can.
There we go. So, yeah, this is the regular 12 that you can get on the shelves nowadays.
Yeah.
DEWAR'S, they've been around, obviously, for a very, very long time.
Maybe even before.
Look at this. This regular bottle
is now corked.
Has a cork. So I'm going to pour the newer version.
The newer doer.
Center glasses.
Right.
And let's do the... So, why don't you do the honors? Wow. So by the way, again...
Truly honors.
This is, been sitting around in someone's shelf, some grandparents' house, or whatever it might be. Cool box and everything. Like, some people don't keep the boxes even, right?
But,
so, pretty cool.
This could be skunky.
It could be, but I mean, look how good condition this is.
Yeah, if it's been sitting in a box, presumably it's been away from the light. Hopefully not.
It's already in a green bottle, so it's gonna.
Hopefully not a lot of heat around, but let's do it. Let's do it. Thanks, James. Yeah, this is a virgin crack.
Oh yeah.
This is the first. This is the first oxygen that this whiskey has taken in.
So are we going to wait 40 minutes for this to open up or what?
Smells scotchy. Okay, here we go. Let's...
Wow. There's something magical. There's something very magical about this.
How's it look?
This, I mean, let's do a side by side.
Let's do a side by side.
So, it's honestly almost the same color, really. Okay.
I kind of want to leave the top off of it for a minute.
Yeah, let it breathe for a bit.
Okay, so you got that's the super old one over there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
And I've got the super old one on the outside.
Oh, so one thing that's kind of interesting about...
Well, that is a really nice nose. Sorry.
One thing that's interesting about these older bottlings is that, they made the same level of integrity was put into them, but the quality of grains, the quality of what was
available,
what was available, and then how fast things were rushed through the stills, what the stills were, it might have been, who knows what was going on at the time of the distillery.
That's the interesting
again, it's a blended whiskey, so it's not a single malt.
That's the interesting thing, though, is that like technology has progressed.
Yes,
but that's not necessarily good for whiskey.
Not necessarily. No,
you know what I mean.
It's all age, right?
The old ways, like patience, take your time.
I mean, Scotch whiskey especially prides itself on the fact that they are from the 1700s and all this stuff, right? So they pride themselves on old ways and traditional styles,
basically.
So that's kind of what I'm hoping we get from this DEWAR'S 12-year-old.
Well, let's nose them up.
Let's go
with the new first.
The new first. Yeah.
Nosing the new.
By the way, I think the old is slightly darker. Very slightly.
It's a little bit more it reminds me more of that liquid color that was like a little bit like
weirdly bronzy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, so
fruity.
Honestly, like, I don't ever buy DEWAR'S for myself, which is kind of too bad because like it's really like a pretty decent blended Scotch. Like it is fruity. It is got these grainy kind of.
Yeah, it's got a nice grainy note to it. Some subtle
there's
fruit.
The honeys on there. Like it's really truly designed so that the average kind of Scotch drinker
unoffensive.
There's nothing offensive about it.
Little bit slight herbal notes to it.
I'm not even gonna taste it. I'm gonna go to the nose from both.
Okay.
But really quite nice. A little bit bright. A little bit lemony.
Yeah, it's good. Okay. DEWAR'S from the 60s or 70s. Here we go. Way more effervescent, like in a citrus zest kind of way.
I'm honestly finding it slightly sweeter too. Like it's like a.
There's a slight.
It's something I found in the other ones that we've cracked too. There's like a relatively higher level of. Maybe it's a sweetness or it's like a candied kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like a candied pear or something like that. Like it's
significantly different.
Totally different, yeah.
But the quality is actually really quite good. Like I'm smelling this thinking like.
No, it has a yum
factor.
But there's something a little bit like plasticine about it.
Yeah,
there's like something. I'm gonna stop from saying like smoky. It's more of like a plastic, oily.
It's when we say like new toy plastic. It's kind of like that kind of a vibe. Like,
but there's a real zest and like zing to it. Like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Oh, definitely. And it makes you wonder, like. Because we found that sort of note in those older bottlings.
Yeah, of Scotch. Yeah.
Of Scotch, especially. If that is what it was made like back then, or if the quality of wood was different, or if the quality of the...
maybe.
The grains were a little bit different, or whatever. And the blend might be... DEWAR'S, I'm not 100% sure, but maybe they don't take their main whiskeys from the main distilleries anymore. Could be from
it could totally
different
just be
components,
that,
right? But they all have that similar kind of quality where it's like a little bit fruitier, a little bit like there is like this.
I'm going to click back and forth. Whoa, the new one is so much more.
It's way more malty.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like biscuity and like doughy.
Yeah,
and this one's like way zestier and like lemony and citrusy
and actually it kind of reminds me of like, remember when we
I really like the nose on the old one.
There's
nothing from a nosing perspective, there's nothing like spoiled about this. It hasn't gone bad.
No, but it has a characteristic that must be what it was like back in the day.
You know what it was? It was those two dimples that we opened.
Yeah.
Had that same. They were 1960s dimples and dimple and pinch.
Yeah, right. But still quite nice. Okay, I'm gonna sip the newer 2021 release of DEWAR'S.
Here we go.
Again, that kind of biscuity, honey,
Malty,
doughy,
sweet,
malty,
honey, herbal.
grainy.
It's actually got pretty good big flavor on it.
It's
Like,
not bad at all. That computer just turned it over.
that's okay. Okay, I'm gonna do a total mouth cleanse.
Let's do
I'm
it.
doing a water cleanse. It deserves this. A 50-year-old bottle deserves its own shot.
Again, thank you to Sons of Vancouver.
James, yep.
James, like this is a cool
This is fun.
experiment. I love this kind of thing.
I think the color's way different. Like,
It is.
The more I look at it,
Yeah.
this one's got this murky bronze, and this
Yeah.
is more of a golden.
It's like this has a shimmer, like a new car shimmer.
Yeah.
This is like this is
It's a flat-
a used
flat
aged-
black.
Yeah.
Okay. You
Okay,
ready?
start. Flavor wise, to me that's 100% different.
Oh, it's totally different. But this one's a lot more mellow. Like, there's not as much happening here to me. Like on my first sip, coming off a sip of
Do
water.
you know what the old one reminds me of?
Oh, there it
It
comes.
reminds me of that old malt cask Highland Park a little bit.
I was gonna say Highland Park.
Yeah, it has like that kind of like
It has a little bit of subtle smoke in there.
like icy.
Like this has no smoke in it.
Yeah, and this has like a little bit more of like a slight peat note to it.
Yes, it does, and that is probably that plasticky thing that we were smelling.
But the sweetness is so good. This is really, really good, actually.
It's got a bit of a petroleum thing happening for sure, with a little sweetness.
Trying to like dissect the sections of this one.
Yeah,
The sweetness is perfect to me. Like I love
very
that
nice.
level of kind of like
Yeah.
that weird honey herbal thing. And then like the peatiness is there, where the new DEWAR'S is way more like, I mean it's good, but it's way more just kind of like grainy, newer or like fresher cut grass kind of thing compared to this one's a little bit more deep and dense.
the more you meaning we, the more we try older scotches and whiskeys, like not aged older, but ones from decades long ago, the more that you see what modern whiskey tastes like versus older ones. Like the older ones have more subtle characters, whereas like it seems like the newer ones are trying just to be like more in your face.
Well, I honestly kind of think to me it makes me think like this, like they're pumping it out and they're getting it in people's faces.
Right.
You know, it's just a recipe, pump it out on the mechanical line, filling up bottles, you know, which maybe this was too, but it feels to me that the flavor tastes like there was more care put into it or something. Like it's like a master blender literally blended this together. I'm sure they do with this too. I'm not putting it down.
Right.
But maybe it's just psychologically because it's older and I'm thinking I have to take more time with it in general. But it feels like there's more time taken with this one.
Yeah, it feels like more small batch, just like more character.
Like that is a really, really good whiskey.
It's got more unique character to it. Like this is like a little bit more mass produced, I guess is what you're saying. Like,
Yeah,
it's a
exactly.
little
It's,
more
you know,
generic.
Yeah.
This is a little bit more generic. This has a little more depth.
Yeah. Exactly.
Depth of character.
And I'm really like the more I sip on it, and
Okay.
the more it sits and opens
But how about
up,
the
like,
fact that this bottle like isn't fucking tainted after 50 years sitting there?
Totally. That's a really like
Like it's pretty much perfect.
I gotta say, one of the things, like, people, I don't know if people are against green bottles or whatever, or darker bottles, but in reality,
Down with green bottles.
like, if you're gonna keep a bottle of whiskey for a long time, it might as well be a darker glass, because it
Yeah, it
can, you know, there's no light, as much light getting to it.
Deflects the light? Doesn't.
But I keep going back to
Something
this
about
nose,
light.
and it's like, it's this weirdly kind of like, It's really quite sweet.
But it's got a fruit layer and a zest layer and this like petroleum plastic layer to it too. And when you taste it, it's in there.
It's in there, and that kind of like peaty isocleanness shows up. Where
Just ever so slightly though too.
Slightly, yeah. Like for a blend, it's also back then was trying to hit a lot of different palates. You know, this might have been what Don Draper was drinking. As like you know,
oh totally. Okay, but
gotta go to the
do I really like it better?
Like the nose on this is the new one is nice too.
They're kind of like different animals.
They're not completely comparable, really. Like
no, and like you said up front though, is that they could be totally different spirits being blended together.
Right. Yeah.
Like
it might be the proportions might be all off.
Yeah, like so.
Or different distilleries or anything.
However, it's still DEWAR'S 12 versus DEWAR'S 12. They're both 40%. They're both DEWAR'S 12.
Just one. I mean, that's a cool bottle.
Neither, like, yeah, that's neat. I mean, neither of them are, like, offensive. There's nothing wrong with either of them. Like, I can happily drink both of them, which is great.
Yeah.
But this one's just, it's held the test of time. It's a survivor. There's something so effing cool about that. Like, it's just really
one
neat.
thing that's interesting to, like, and I hope not, because I'm not saying one's better than the other specifically, but if we did say that the new one was lesser quality and more produced tasting, I'd hate that this is the best version of something 30, 40 years down the road. You know, like, I hope whiskey doesn't go downhill. You know?
And that's a fair
especially
statement,
in
though,
the blends, right?
You can't judge all of 60s or 70s scotch based on this bottle of DEWAR'S.
Sure. And it's been kept perfectly and all that, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice example of a blended scotch from a certain era.
It's a nice nose.
But yeah, I mean, this is fun anyway.
Oh, so good.
Like, it's always fun to crack a non-skunky survivor bottle.
Absolutely.
And I always say, like, who better to drink it than you? You know, like, if you're holding onto this bottle, right, like, forever, like, oh, it's a keepsake or whatever, like, okay, I can get that if you're not a whiskey drinker, but if you are a whiskey drinker and you come upon these super old bottles, you can flip them and make a little bit of money, but somebody down the line somewhere has to drink it.
Totally.
And who better than you to drink it?
Or us.
Or even us.
Send it to us. We'll tell you.
We'll drink all of them.
We'll tell you. But anyways, thank you again.
Yes.
James
and
for
Sons of Vancouver.
sending these bottles.
We
Very
are
cool.
We are gonna dram club these, and we are gonna live comparison these bottles with a bunch of people. So stay tuned for that.
So that is something that is very cool about all of this. We're gonna wrap this up, but the fact that you shared with us, we get to share with you
share
now.
with everybody.
Yeah, because
and
like,
we're gonna
this
send this sample to James too, so he's gonna do it. He's gonna drink it with us.
He's getting some of the deal for sure.
Yeah.
This
is gonna be
thank
fun.
you, James and Sons of Vancouver, and I guess DEWAR'S really.
Thanks, Stuart.
Thanks, DEWAR'S.
And thanks to whoever held on to this thing for 50 years.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Good move.
Okay, so cheers.
Yep.
We will see you on the flippity flop. And
Click like, subscribe, leave a comment.
all right.
Cheersies.
Trenny and C.